then we don't blame our culture, which has come from various influences un-Islamic. We blame Islam. We blame Islam. I have seen, and you must have seen, there is a lady who presides over judiciary court in Karachi. She is in hijab, and she is a first-class magistrate, recently promoted to judgeship. She's a judge. She does not even allow her hand to be seen. She wears a glove, although this much is allowed. And she presides over the court. Why cannot a woman be? In Iran, what has happened today? There are women who are members of parliament. There are women who are politicians. There are women who really have changed the lives. Any revolution, any place, whether it is in a community or whether it is in a country, is really an incomplete revolution if women have not taken part in it. Now, when my elder has said that women feel neglected in religion, women feel neglected in society, women feel neglected that they are not even part of it. Whenever Quran mentions about good people, it says, وَالصَّالِحِينَ وَالصَّالِحَاتِ. Surah Al-Ahzab. وَالصَّابِرِينَ وَالصَّابِرَاتِ الصَّائِمِينَ وَالصَّائِمَاتِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ الْحَافِظِينَ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ وَالْحَافِظَاتِ. Everywhere Allah mentions both, the believer man, the believer women, the virtuous man, the virtuous women, the fasting men, the fasting women, those who protect their private parts from sins, men and women. Everywhere He has mentioned Surah Al-Ahzab, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly classifies both men and women as His own chosen servants. That is one thing. Second thing is that in Islam, a woman first is a daughter, is a wife, is a mother. Sister I will not take because that is a natural thing. She is born of my parents. I'll take these three stages. As a daughter, it is incumbent upon me, first and foremost, to give her a good name. I mean, this might sound very silly, but this is what the hadith say. Give them good name. Of course, in England, we give them unisex name. You know what is unisex? A name which can be used for both boys and girls. Now, a person comes with a child and says, "Bhai, iska naam kya hai?" Iska naam Kausar hai. We have got Kausar girl and Kausar boy. Because the fashion in England is unisex. We have a haircut which is unisex, we have a sweater which is unisex, there is a shirt which is unisex. Gradually they will have people unisex. But the question is that we have been told to give him or her a good name. Well, I wish we had selected some good names and published them, at least for people. It may seem unimportant book, but it is a very important book. That we tell them, give them good name. Unfortunately, some of the names that I have come across recently from the parents have no meaning whatsoever. They are neither in Persian, nor in Urdu, nor in Arabic. But they are being used because they sound good. We were told to give good name first. And after having given good names, to perform all the religious things that like aqiqah and all that for the protection of the child. To tell them adhan and iqama and all that. And as the child grows, the Prophet said, when your son is up to 7, he is the prince. Of course, he's the prince because he will say that I want to hitch my wagon to the star, the father will try to do that. I want to go for a drive, the father will try to please him. He's a prince of the house. He asks for the impossible, the father and the mother go out of their way to do it. As long as it is 7. From 7 onwards up to 15, the Prophet said, then he is not at that time a prince. He is now your servant. That means teach him how to obey. Because these are the formative years. Up to 15, if you allowed him to act like a prince, he will become a spoiled child. He should now know how to deal with the elders, how to deal with the strangers, how to deal with the people, how to respond. And from 15 to 21, then he is your minister. That means he is your wazir. Now you actually go about with your grown-up child. He is your right hand. You respect him, although he is born of you. You respect him the way you want him to respect you. Same thing happens to the girls. The girl, as they grow up to 6 and 7, because, and remember my friends, maybe this will not appeal to many, but when there is a danger coming closer earlier, we always try to preempt, because the danger of pitfalls in a woman growing up from 7 onwards is really imminent. That is the reason why bulugh has been brought closer at 9. And for man, the dangers begin, or the age of adolescence, at 15. Where the danger is seen to come earlier, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, now she is a mukallaf. Mukallaf means she has got to perform what is wajib and to refrain from what is haram. At the age of 7, if your daughter comes to me here, according to Islam, if she is 3 or 4, I can hug her. She's my child. I can allow her to sit on my lap. She's your child, she's my child. But the moment she is 7, if she comes near me, I am not supposed to kiss her on her cheek, not at all. In Islam, the Prophet said, you will kiss her hand. She will kiss your hand, you will kiss her hand, but you will not kiss her cheek, because now she is approaching the age of bulugh. And she must understand that responsibilities. Now these are the things which Islam taught us, and at the same time educate them. If you die, and if she is the only heir, she will inherit everything. Half of it by inheritance, half of it by right. These are the legal terms that we use. That half of it, of course, by her inheritance, because she is the only heir. Half of it by right, which is all of everything will go to her if there is no other heir and she is the only heir. Right? Wife. We are of course not ulama. As a mullah or a social worker, there is hardly a day on which we don't get an application for divorce. Mullah sahab talaq pad dijiye. You ask the boy, why do you want to divorce? Oh, she does not know how to cook. What does she do? Well, she doesn't put enough salt. What happens? She doesn't know how to make a good cup of tea. Or she does not clean the house the way it should be cleaned. Or she doesn't stitch my buttons in my sherwani or whatever. And things like that. All flimsy excuses. And the fact is, and you can refer to the book of fiqh, that nothing of this, now don't be terrified, but nothing of this is wajib upon the wife. No. People have accused me of saying that Mullah Sahib are going to break our houses because early morning tea will stop. But they don't understand one thing, that the homes don't run on enforced laws, they run on love. And I have to say one thing, in response to what my learned friend said, because in Europe we have been told, a young man is told, look, don't get married till you know the partner. So now starts courtship and wooing. I mean, the engagement doesn't take place first. First is just a girl has been seen and she has been liked, and now they start courtship under the name of knowing each other. It sounds very good, sounds very plausible. They're trying to know each other. So they go for evenings. My friends, forgive me, my sisters might be listening. I cannot be very open and cannot be very rude. But let me tell you, I'm a married man and most of you will be. To know a woman on an evening is something else. And to know a woman early in the morning is something else. In the evening, when she comes with all her makeup and you go with best clothes of yours and try to present yourself in the best possible way, it is something else. When you live together and then you wake up and sleep together, eat together, then you become informal. Then you know the true person as to whether that beauty which was shown or that handsomeness which was displayed was only skin deep or further. Right? Well, so in Islam, in Christianity, or perhaps in Western culture, we have been told to know each other. So they say now we have fallen in love, and then we go steady. These are the terms used. And then they get married. After 1 year's knowing each other, loving each other, we read nikah, we say alhamdulillah. And after the 4th month they separate. And about what happened to that 1 year's knowing each other? Yes, but we did not know the way we should have known. And we knew each other better after. To be very simple, I will come to the arranged marriage. I am not in favor of arranged marriage the way we do it. But I can tell you one thing, that in Islam, we have been taught not to love before marriage, we have been taught to love after. There is a standard difference. I marry someone and I have to develop a way of life to show affection to her and to remain faithful to her throughout our lives. That is how Islam. Because you do love affair before, you cannot maintain it later, because that is also superficial. But the arranged marriage in Islam is not there. Ayatollah Al-Khawi has written, and Agha Abidi is here, my learned friend Agha Muljiani is there, they all know it, and most of you know it, that you are allowed to visit a girl, and the girl is allowed to see a boy before they get married. But the purpose must be marriage, not shopping. Because there can be a very clever man say, I want to get married and go on looking at girls one after the other. That is shopping. That is not marriage. But when the irada and niyat is marriage, then a person must go and see, and can go and see, and talk, and come to know each other. It is in the Risala. So and the girl must say yes. I mean, what is the meaning of nikah? Maulana and I want to read nikah. Maulana will go inside and ask the bride, do you allow me to read your nikah to Mr. X upon this agreed mahar? If she says no, what will happen? Maulana will not read nikah by the order of the parents, not at all. There can be no nikah. The nikah has got to be by the girl herself. Therefore, what is the meaning of arranged marriage? The arranged marriage is to take the maximum benefit of the family and the community relationship to know which would be the best suitor. My father and my mother can sit and tell me this much, that look son, you can get married wherever you like, in whichever family you like. We feel that in this particular family, which is not our relation, but it is a family which has got our own standing, equal status, Sharia, Pabandi, religious family, a girl is younger than you or nearly of your age, and now, what do you say? This sort of arrangement is not bad. But of course, forced marriage or children marriage, when you are reserved for somebody right when you were born in the cradle, and the girl is reserved for someone so the day she was born, that of course is un-Islamic. We know it. In our case, we have seen this. There was a speaker who came once to speak. He was an Arab who came to speak in England about marriage in Islam. He said, we Arabs, he said, we compare marriage with a tin of honey. Tin of honey sold by the Arabs. The upper crust is honey. Down at the end is muck. I mean, what to say? They sell it that way. So as you go on eating honey for 1 month, 2 months, as it finishes, suddenly you come to see there is nothing but muck. That means he has cheated you. 3/4 of it is honey, 1/4 of it is muck. So he said, marriage normally is compared to a tin of honey. It starts with honey and then it ends with muck. That is what we see. So somebody stood up and said, Master, my tin has opened the other way from the very beginning. That means the muck has begun, and I don't know whether it will be honey later on. The question is that we have viewed everything because it looks so splendid. But let me tell you that the statistics in England itself says that every one marriage out of 4 fails. Early in the morning, the husband has got no right to ask the wife, where are you going? The answer is, I go my way and you go your way. And darling, don't wait for me. Over. In the evening, the husband has come to the house and he cannot even ring up anyone to find out where the madam has gone. And when she enters after 3-4 hours late, he cannot ask. If he asks, it will be construed to be offensive. Why did you ask? Did I ask you? Ask. It starts with very simple things. In England, for example, husband and wife have got 2 incomes. He earns and she also earns. And when they come home, it is not like what we have in this country or in our culture, that even if the wife were to earn, she hands over the money to her husband and say, well, this is what my salary is. We want to run a house. This is going into joint account. It doesn't go there. There it is all separate accounts. And there it is determined from the very first day who will pay the bus fare and who will pay the car petrol, who will buy the bananas and who will buy the cucumbers. It's true. And if this does not happen, the car does not move. The family circle, the family movement starts faltering, because we have got to go and see those things for ourselves to believe. The simple hook here with a towel, on it is written his. And there's another hook there. There's a towel on which it is written hers. Hers, she will not use his, and he cannot use hers. This is how we live in England. Why? Because there is now a dichotomy. There is now a difference. You and I, in Islamic way of living, have found that father and mother lived as one. There, the children rise to find that father and mother are 2 separate entities. You may invite women, you may invite men, but have them separately. Even if they are wearing that cloth or hijab, the final stage in hijab is that na-mahram would not intermingle unless it is absolutely necessary. For a woman to go shopping, that means she is going out of necessity with hijab. She goes and buys and comes back. That's over. She has got no male member in the family. She has got to go and do some work, comes back, over. But there cannot be that sort of intermingling. Otherwise, what will happen? With what is called emancipation of women, after the Renaissance and after the French Revolution, a new term is emancipation of women, or as they say in Urdu, azadi-e-niswan. Now, what happened with this? Suddenly, a woman has a right to go with any man she chooses, even if she is married. And do you know that in England recently a bill has been passed that a husband can be convicted of having raped his own wife? It's passed already. It was in the parliament, it was passed. The philosophy is divergent. A husband has been actually charged in the court and convicted for having raped his own wife. This is the type of thinking that we have. And it is for this reason that a woman who looks glamorous on the pages of colored magazines, looks glamorous, models who look glamorous, and sometimes women feel that here is what is called freedom and emancipation, is nothing but reducing the status of a woman from what she should be to a mere chattel of male pleasure. Europe agrees to this. When I spoke to them, they accept it. But they feel offended because they would not like anyone to prick them. But this is a fact, that a woman has been reduced to nothing else. Man will wear enough clothes, but women will not. Why? Because she has to please man. Therefore, she has been reduced to nothing but what we call, in our very blunt words, a chattel of sex. If you call this a promotion, if you call that this is the type of life that we would like for our girls, well, then it is your choice. But if it is Islamically, then she is a haram. Haram means a precinct, a sacred limit. You and I may be very good friends, so much so that I am prepared even to sacrifice my wealth and life for you. But if you are not blood related, according to Islam, your family, your wife, is na mahram to me. Now sets in our culture, And when I discuss culture, I discuss it openly, not because I am afraid of anything, because it's a culture to which I belong. Unfortunately, when I tell someone, look, na mahram, this is na mahram, the answer he gives me in Kachhi sometimes is, in kya munji bain banaye hoye hain. I have made her my sister. Fine, we keep quiet. Munji bain banaye. I have made her my sister. And then, in this experience of about 40 years, I have files and files of what happened with this deception, which is called self-deception. That you're trying to deceive yourself, that you have made her your sister, deceiving the world. Because after all, what is natural between man and woman, if there is no blood relation, is bound to occur. And it occurs. And there have been families sitting, Mr. and Mrs. X with Mr. and Mrs. Z and Mr. and Mrs. Y, all of them sitting together, telling the world, we are all brothers and sisters, we are so educated. And in Punjabi they say, Dil changa, jag changa. If your heart is clean, everything is clean. They're trying to tell the people that my heart is clean. That you are sick in mind. That you are thinking of mahram and nama. We are healthy in mind. We don't have to think about it. It is a self-deception which has resulted in what? Astaghfirullah al-Azim. It has actually resulted in wives absconding, in wives deserting, and what they call these days with pride, the swapping of wives. All this is happening in the name of modernization. So in Islam, the status of woman has been enhanced. Enhanced in a manner that she gains respect as she grows. With affection and love she grows as a daughter. And don't consider birth of a daughter as a musibah. It is rahmah, not zahmah. It is the grace of Allah that He grants us daughters. And some people have daughters, 3, 4, 5, and no sons, and they always think they are unlucky. They are not unlucky. In fact, if you have 3, 4 boys and don't have even one daughter, then you are unlucky. But human nature is such that if you give them sons, they want daughter. If you give them daughter, they want son. It's human nature. Never satisfied with anything else. But she grows in affection. As she grows in affection, she becomes a wife, and she becomes our life partner. She has her rights and she has her duties. Rights of a husband. People ask Mulla always to read about how wives should obey the husband. Nobody asks about what husbands should do for the wives. Because husbands can come to Mulla and Maulana. Wives can have no accessibility. What I say is this, that both of that has got to be struck in a balance. Two, as she grows into motherhood, the Prophet said, Wal jannatu tahta aqdamil ummahat. The paradise is under the feet of mothers. Right. I remember that day when in England, I arrived at the airport to receive my mother, who was coming from Mombasa. Naturally, she is 75. She came with hijab. Yeah, I mean, that's natural. But she was on a wheelchair. And the moment she reached out there, my sons were there, and I was there, I bowed down to kiss her hand. She's my mother. And a porter said, "Sir, what relation is between you two?" I said, "She's my mother." "Oh, so you kiss her hand?" I said, "Yes." This is a wonderful thing. We have outlived that. We only visit our mother on Christmas days. And sometimes just send them a card and say, "Wish you are well," which reaches her when she's already dead. And now where will she go? I said, "She will go to my house." "Oh, you won't send her to the old people home?" I said, "No. She will not go to old people home. She will go to my house. She will live with me for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, as long as she wants to live." And he shook his head. "It is strange," he said, "it is strange." It is not strange at all. It is a matter of pride for one to be able to serve one's mother and father at any age. But you see, the thinking is different. You come to England, you come to America, you come to Canada, you find everything glittering. But as we are told, all that glitters is not gold. You can go and see for yourselves the misery within. The father and mother have not seen the children for years. And it is for this reason, my friends, that I believe that we are beholden and indebted to Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who, as the prophet, the final prophet of Allah, and the one who in his hadith and also in Quran, by the revelation which he received, has told us very clearly about what a woman in Islam is. Do not mix up our culture with